Starter Stream. Starter Stream is here. We're streaming. We're starting. We're sitting, people. We're figuring it out. We've been awesome this year. It's been incredible. I was looking back at the track record. I can't believe it. In fact, I talk about it on Top 10 Takeaways. We did a Top 10 Takeaways show Monday around noon. And often we look back at the advice we gave on this show and like, oh, this actually worked out. Here was the rationale. This is why this happened. There's an exception, though. Every week, most weeks, I pick one player that's really on the fringe for Thursday Night Football. And I do a little start him or sit him TikTok. It's like 10 seconds, 20 seconds. And I'm almost always wrong. And sometimes it's good process and bad result. Sometimes it's bad process, good result. Sometimes it's bad process, bad result. And sometimes it's good process, good result. Bottom line is with Thursday Night Football, usually you fade the player. You fade it. But it's really hard to give sit advice on a random fringe guy that you like. You know people want to play him. Telling him to sit him is hard, but I like to say, sit this player. That's typically when I'm right. And then when I find reasons to like a player and start him, it's like, oh, it's heartbreaking. So I found a start. I found the justification to start Debo Thursday Night Football. And then I was watching him. And the reason you start Debo is because he just needs to break one tackle and he scores a touchdown. And he was going to catch a ball at the 10-yard line and maybe even have to break one tackle at most, score a touchdown, and that would have been it, right? That was it's like deep leagues, are you starting this guy? And I was like, deep leagues? I think you got to start Debo. And just right on the ground. And then so that I look up and I'm like, wait, why is it 3-3? And it's like, oh, it's a monsoon. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that when I was shooting the video. I wish I would have known that. Final score was like 12-6. I'm like, okay. Well, the start of the video was this is going to be a shootout. That's the reason. That's big. That's one of the big reasons. The same justification that we use on this show that usually works out. For some reason on Thursday Night Football, it doesn't like to work out. Whether it's a monsoon, and then because of the monsoon, no one could catch the football, including Debo, just right through his on the ground. And I was like, okay, I gotta go. I can't. I'm cursed with this Thursday Night Football thing. I mean, he wasn't a strong start. He's been playing terribly, but I was like, I'm gonna be brave. He said like 4 duds in a row. This is the get where he's gonna see man coverage. This is gonna be it. And then right on the ground. I mean, it was a perfect pass. It hit him in the belly button. And then just on the ground. I couldn't believe it. I was like, that was a touchdown. So, why we're starting the show with my failures and a good example. But I don't know. I think that was a pretty good process. His snap share was good. Like he's clearly healthier. He looked explosive. He was angry. He wasn't getting targets. This is what you want, right? The matchup was perfect. It was just, God. But some people started Jennings, and Kittle, and it was duds across the board. So if everybody started Cooper Kupp, whoops. Mike's a little hot. Thank you. Mike was hot. Okay, so from those videos, wow, thank you. Thank you for the comments. This was great. Wow, look at this. Look at all these comments. This is why we have the live show. So, starting off with a story about why start sits are challenging. And having the mic hot the whole time was great, and now it's fixed. And I feel good, though. I feel good that we've had very few mic issues this year, very, very few audio-visual issues whatsoever. That was the one. That's turned up because with these first-person videos, I like to take the mic and put it off the screen, and then have to turn it up. If the mic were down here, we need to turn it up. But now the mic's right up here. This sounds better. I like it. I like to be right up on the mic. I'm the type of guy I like to be right up on the mic. Okay. And I have answered no questions. I know. If there's first of all, just going to get out there. That was the first question we got, and we need to put it in there, right up on the screen. Jorge, little cute, fuzzy dog, curly dog, avatar. You're starting Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson on the law of the conservation of targets. This is what we're doing. We're starting Johnson. I'm not starting Kincaid his first week back. No way. No chance. Now there's new competition there. We got Keon Coleman supposed to play, and now they have Amari Cooper there. What? No. Smart's a fun player. I get it. It's always fun when random tight end comes out of nowhere, complete nowhere to start. Cade Otton. Whoa, right? It's fun, but no. And then Waddle versus Neighbors, full PPR. We're still Neighbors people here. We're a neighbor's house on the street. Remember those signs? Remember those signs? I know some people that had those signs up. And yesterday I mentioned, where'd those signs go? Remember, in this house we believe? Remember, in this house we believe in Malik Neighbors. I just want to say that right now. In this house we believe in Malik Neighbors. We also believe in Jalen Waddle. We believe in great football. We believe in Terry McLaurin. We believe in great, awesome, 6 foot, 210, explosive, great hands, Justin Jefferson archetype wide receivers. That's what we believe in this house. Okay? So it's tough when you put Waddle up there, but Neighbors. No, we're going Neighbors. The alpha is less affected by quarterback play than the other receivers down the pecking order. So I asked these people, I was like, what happened to your we believe? What about we in this house? We believe in science. We believe in kindness. As if it's just the great troll of all trolls. Like, the people across the street, they're idiots. And they're ignorant, and they don't believe in science, and they don't believe in friendship, and they are dicks. But we believe, we here, it's the ultimate condescending move. Because I would remember, I saw the sign, I was like, Am I less kind than these people? Am I less sophisticated in terms of my understanding of physics and chemistry? Fuck, man. They're really making me feel bad with this sign. I didn't even do anything to these people. What did I do? Right? I think I'm a pretty sophisticated guy. I think I'm pretty with it. You know, I have a bachelor's degree from Northwestern University. My parents paid a lot of money for. I feel pretty good, right, about my position on things. I like to do the right thing in a lot of different situations. Man, it's making me feel like shit. Why are you doing this to me with your signs? And where are the signs? They're all gone. I was like, you should put those signs back up. I asked them where it was. Can you find the sign? Where is? Because in my house, like I said, we have a sign on, and it says, in this house, we believe in Malik Neighbors, right? In this house, what do we believe in, right? In this house, we believe in Blake Corum, right? In this house, we believe Blake Corum is a great running back, and we're never going to find out because apparently Kyron Williams is Wolverine. But in this house, we believe in Kyron Williams, that one day it's going to happen, right? That's my yard sign. In this house, we believe in who's actually a really good. In this house, we believe in Amon-Ra St. Brown. In this house, we believe in the Sun God. That's what we believe. But this year, if I had to pick one player that I would say we in this house, we believe in Terry McLaurin, because I was very early saying this is a top 5 receiver. Like, think about the situation. He's all they have. This offense is going to take a big leap forward. And he's one of the most phenomenal talents in the league. See, that was the missing piece. Everyone forgot for so many years without a quarterback. You forget DJ Moore is such a phenomenal talent. You forget Terry McLaurin is such a phenomenal talent when the quarterback play is not cooperating. And like, well, now we're going to get the quarterback. What do we wait? Why? Why is he still available in round 6? This is stupid. So that I feel great about. So that's what's on our yard sign. Here, we in this house, we believe in Terry McLaurin. Now, we have some starter stream decisions to make. And by the way, Jeff is Rad is in. Yes, Jeff is Rad is in here. Thank you, Jeff is Rad. Jeff is Rad's on Fast Draft. I just saw Jeff is Rad draft. Jeff is Rad just drafted. Jeff is Rad is doing great. In fact, Jeff is Rad is in a draft room on Fast Draft right now, and it's about another draft's about to fill. There's one more slot to fill a draft with Jeff is Rad. And you could basically just draft a team, all flex team. You just draft an all flex team, 6 guys. Drafts take 5 minutes. You draft for this Sunday. So Jeff is in here drafting for this Sunday. And if you put in the promo code, he's really smart. This guy's really smart. He's taking advantage of streaming. He knows. If you put in the promo code Jeff is Rad, you double your deposit up to $25, and then that same amount goes to Jeff. So that's the best. Right? It's one thing to just use promo code Podfather, and then you get to double your own deposit. Great. But if you use someone else's username, like a friend's username, then you both get the bonus. It's a double bonus. And Jeff is like, why don't I just put this, where his actual name here is Stay Rad Potato Blog, which is amazing. He's like, I'm going to put my promo code in the chat. That's so smart. See now, okay, someone's going to sign up. They want to draft. Imagine draft. You can't, you're like, I got my team. I've had my team for 15 weeks. No, you can draft right now on Fast Draft. You can just draft. You can draft neighbors. You can draft all these guys we're talking about. You could draft Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson is explosive. Juwan Johnson absolutely has the potential with like a 6th round pick on Fast Draft to be the guy that helps get you over the top. Oftentimes it's those 5th and 6th round picks. Now, I love that Ecamm has recently put up a tab for Super Chats. Maybe I had this all along and I never noticed it. It's very possible. It's very possible. I'm super ignorant, apparently, according to these. Remember these yard signs? This is like this is like 3 years ago. But there were these yard signs basically telling everybody that wasn't living there that they're asshole idiots. And I wish they would bring those back. Robert Holloway says nothing. Robert Holloway just says, here's $5 for Super Chat. Thank you, Robert. That's so cool. Look at this. I think this may be, well, no, someone gave us an incredible amount of money. Somebody gave us like $50. It was awesome. A couple weeks ago. Look at this. Look at this Super Chat. This is one of my favorites. I don't have to answer the question. Is this me? I can talk about whatever I want. You know, I did go to Northwestern. My parents paid a lot of money for that degree. Should I do that voice the entire time? Yes. That's an old-timey, I feel like that's a voice. That's like a Christmas. That's a Christmas, like, come here, son. Let me tell you about when I was a boy. That's like a Christmas movie voice, I feel like. Does anyone know what voice that is? It's like I'm doing the voice. I know it's a particular actor. I think it's from Miracle on 69th Street. Yes. Yes, Timmy. It's some movie. Put it in there. Robert Goulet. It's not him. It's someone, you know. It's like I know these actors when I see them, like the 50s, 40s actors. But it's like, you know, I think that's Humphrey Bogart. I think that's Clark Gable, right? Gone with the Wind. Like I think that the mustache, that must be Clark Gable. But then sometimes it's like, I don't know. I just know it's Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart. That was it. Thank you. God damn it. That was good. You people are good. You people are fast. That was amazing. Jimmy Stewart. Bang! That's totally what it was. Now the movie, I don't remember the movie. It was Miracle on 69th Street. I like that. Ridley or Downs. We gotta get back to business. What are we doing? I will say that the powers that be here, basically Theo and company, they did tell me that I didn't have to do the show anymore. They were like, listen, man, the playoffs have started. You don't have to go so hard in the paint. We know you got a family and you got a lot of responsibility, and maybe take it easy. Maybe the playoffs. Some people's teams are out. We're not going to get as much engagement. Look at the numbers. And I was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about, Theo? This is our time. I got these people. We got here together. Of course, all of our subscribers at playerprofiler.com, the all-in package, of course they are making the playoffs. This is where we have to go win the money. What do you mean? In fact, I'm going to do it next week, and then so we're not traveling until that Monday, and then we're coming back on a Saturday. So I'm going to be here. I'm going to be right here in the studio every Sunday. Maybe not week 18. That's a little much, but to get to the Fantasy Super Bowl, and it's absolutely Calvin Ridley. Last time I checked, they're playing Cincinnati. You're chasing the points. If there are points on the board to be scored, that's a high equity play. That's a high equity situation. Chase the equity on Calvin Ridley. He's in a great – this guy should be scoring 16 fantasy points with a 25-point ceiling. If there was ever a week to play Calvin Ridley, may as well goddamn be Calvin Ridley. Half PPR, Zay Flowers, Rome Odunze, or Xavier Worthy. I'm going Zay Flowers here, man. I don't know why. Zay Flowers in a rut, but I like Zay Flowers this week a lot. I just like Zay Flowers. I love great football players. I like great football players that get separation and can squeeze the football with speed. I like that. Is that wrong of me? Zay Flowers is like a smaller version of Terry McLaurin. How do you not love that guy, right? I'm having a hard time identifying the matchup. Ravens are 17-point favorites, okay? 17-point favorites. Wow, right? So but you got to remember, we're playing Calvin Ridley, right? Okay. Well, there's a hell of a lot more implied points for the Ravens. So where are those touchdowns going to come from? They're going to crush the Giants. Where are those touchdowns going to come from? A lot of them are going to come from Zay Flowers. You can't forget they're going to come from Zay Flowers. Now, Zay Flowers has been leaking ranking positions. And by the way, I just want to say, in our projections, just so we're clear, we have Waddle ahead of Neighbors in terms of median projection. But I don't care. We in this house, we believe in Malik Neighbors. So Zay Flowers, we have ranked outside the top 30. Giants, not a great matchup because there's not a lot of points to be scored. But in the game, 42.5. For the Ravens, they have 29 implied points. And Zay Flowers is going to have to be part of that. That's why you got to go Zay Flowers. Our rankings also like Debo this week. So, squeeze that, man. Really? Come on. Yes. Bo Nix or Love? And what wide receiver from the Steelers will get more value, Austin or Jefferson? Well, it's not Justin Jefferson. So in that case, it's Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin has speed. Calvin Austin actually is not a slot receiver necessarily. He can play on the outside. He can get deep separation. It's actually a decent fit with Russell Wilson. So I like Calvin Austin this week a lot. We knew Kenneth Walker wasn't playing this week. Remember, day-to-day means week-to-week. Remember? Still means that, unless it's Aaron Jones. But Aaron Jones is the exception. Day-to-day is week-to-week. So we knew as soon as it said day-to-day on Kenneth Walker, that meant he was going to be doubtful this week. And then as soon as I saw a hamstring injury, like hamstring injury even got Adam Schefter in trouble this year, right? Expected to play, not with a hammy, buddy. Nice try. So, Austin. And then Bo Nix is a mobile quarterback. Bo Nix is a running quarterback. I love Bo Nix. So it's going to be hard for me to get me off Nix. I'm going to look at the rankings, though, because this is a tricky one with the rankings. Our rankings actually don't love Jordan Love this week. So we're on Bo Nix. 24 implied points for Bo Nix, 25 for Jordan Love. So if there's not a big implied point differential, but you know that the wide receiver or the quarterback is mobile and is going to pick up, say, a passing touchdown's worth of fantasy points just by scrambling, well, then that makes up for, that's a touchdown of implied points. Think about that. So if the implied points are close and one guy's a rushing quarterback and one guy's not as much, then that's an easy way to make these decisions on your own. What's with the Ultimate Warrior bartender armbands? Oh, these for the gun show? These get me in the right headspace to be an entertainer. That's it. And then I mess my hair up, right? Because I know that I just got out of bed. And you also have noticed, starting the show a little bit later, I think that's the one, and again, I stole this from Trump. I love this. Just this, when I'm going to say something that just has meaning, to flex your arms in against your pecs and just to squeeze your whole chest and squeeze out what you're about to say, it feels great. I'm happy to steal things from Jimmy Stewart. I'm going to steal from everybody. Okay? So me, I'm waking up a little bit later in the playoffs. That's my one compromise. End of the season, it's a grind. So starting the show at like 9-ish, 10, 9:30, whatever, instead of 8. But it's my way of getting into the right headspace is to strap these things on, and then I know, okay, I'm ready to get going, ready to get after this. I'm ready to entertain people for an hour with information and funny thoughts, phrases, and voices, and sound effects. And, like a car revving sound. Right? So that's my process. It's part of my process, Jaweb. It's part of my process. That's the answer. And I'm an artist. And whatever my process is my process. And you can question it if you'd like, but it is my process. And I'm not here to be the most generic-looking person that you've ever seen. That's not my job. You can go ahead and do that. You can go out in life and think about, how can I be the most generic-looking person? And then you can be the most generic-looking person. And wow, good for you. In your quest, you were successful, and you are now the most generic-looking person. Good for you, Jaweb. Tyrone Tracy or Jalen Waddle? That's a good one. I mean, I'm going to lean Tracy. I mean, I think that's probably the right answer without looking at the rankings at all. But I keep scrolling. The problem is I hate when I have to keep scrolling to find a guy. Tyrone Tracy, yeah, it's so close. Wow, that is wild. You guys look at this. Can we just look at this? Can we put this on the screen? I want to put this on the screen. This is wild. This was a good job by this person. This is in the running for greatest question. If you think about it, look at this. Look where Tyrone Tracy is. Look where Jalen Waddle is. This is the flex tab for week 15 on Player Profiler. Think about how good of a question this is. He's talking about player 50 versus player 51. And then I, of course, off the dome, got it right. But I mean, it's very close. However, our rule of thumb is we go with the player we know is getting the touches. Receiver touches are much more difficult to project than running back touches. So we're going to go with the guy that's getting the touches. Also, Tracy's explosive. So we're getting the explosive juice. We're getting the upside there from Tracy. So I'm going to go Tracy. You're not going to feel bad about going Tracy. If Waddle duds out, you're going to feel a little bit bad about it. You're going to feel like, damn it, right? Sincere McCormick or Tank Dell, right? That's a tricky one. Normally, I would say McCormick, but McCormick, I mean, not that interesting. McCormick we have down at 8.9 fantasy points this week. Not great. So the answer is Tank Dell, because Tank Dell is he's still the number 2. This game could shoot out. Houston does not, score that well anymore this year. It's been frustrating. Only 25 implied points against Miami. They were very difficult to pass against. But when I look at the defensive points against, I'm looking up that more with outside traditional receivers. Like, it's not great for Nico Collins. They're going to find a way to hamper Nico Collins, to throttle him. A guy like Tank Dell, it's every week, it's wildly inconsistent, wildly volatile. It's based on the game plan and how they want to deploy him. Do they want to put him in motion a lot? Do they want to run him out of the slot? Do they want him on the outside? How are they going to use him as this, sort of a versatile chess piece, gadgety player? Sometimes these gadgety players, they can go off and then go nuclear, like a Debo. Other times, they're very quiet for weeks and weeks. But if we're down here, like this person says they're down bad, right? Cup gave them a goose egg. It's the playoffs. I don't normally say, okay. I've never said the word goose egg in my life, right? I'm anti-cliche, as you know. I would never say the phrase goose egg, especially with my education. Yes, in this house, we don't say cliches. Anyway, he got the dud from Cooper Kupp. You got to take a bit of a swing. Tank Dell's a bit of a swing. Tank Dell still has the ability, even though he's been hampered all year. This tightrope procedure, man. Never again. Never again. But it's late in the season. He's shown some flashes. I'm going to take the flash of Tank Dell. That's what I'm going to go with there. Hawkinson or Laporta? That's a tough one. We're gonna go Hawkinson here. Laporta has just been bad, and Hawkinson, he's projected for more than 10 fantasy points this week. It's a slightly friendlier matchup for him because of Jalen Johnson, because of the great corners for Chicago. You're thinking there's going to be some funneling of targets to Hawkinson, so that's the logic there. Richardson or Caleb Williams? Interesting little Lincoln Lilly there. I like Lincoln Lilly. He's in the chat a lot. We're going to put him up on the screen there. So I'm not. You guys know I'm not a believer, especially against a difficult defense. In Anthony Richardson, fool me once, Anthony Richardson. That Jets game, fool me once, right? Fool me once, shame on you. Shame on Anthony Richardson for fooling me. I won't be fooled again. That's the bottom line. And yeah, I mean, just hate this. Hate this so much on the road. No implied points. This is why you're not starting Josh Downs, by the way. Woof. Maybe Jonathan Taylor gets there in this game. That would be my game plan. If I'm the Colts, I'm trying to run Jonathan Taylor. You got to think it through. You got to think game theory-wise. What would you do if you were the Colts? Would you draw up a big Anthony Richardson heavy game plan? No. Okay? You're going to be trying to figure out how you can get Jonathan Taylor going in this game. That's going to be the answer if you're thinking strategically as the offensive coordinator. This is a giant Stanley Cup. My daughter says these are bougie. Yes. Yes, these Stanley Cups are very bougie. But is that enough reason to go Caleb Williams? Don't think so. Don't think so. I'm still going Richardson because Caleb has been bad. Minnesota's defense isn't like, this sex fest. Oh, I hate this question. This is tough. Ugh. Think about it. If a defense puts a lot of pressure on a lot of teams, they're throttling a lot of teams, and most teams have pocket passing quarterbacks, right? So, well, Mahomes is mobile, but Herbert's not that mobile. Geno Smith, Matthew Stafford. Think about all the quarterbacks around the league. And some of these part-time quarterbacks like Jameis Winston, Derek Carr, like Kirk Cousins, Tua. Like, think about even like Trevor Lawrence, Bryce Young. Most of the defensive stats that the Broncos have accumulated this year have been against the average quarterback. Anthony Richardson's not the average quarterback. So on any given play, when it breaks down, when the pocket breaks down, and another quarterback would be pressured into throwing, Anthony Richardson does have the ability to get out of the pocket and make something happen. Now, they will probably trap him into throwing an interception, but at least there is an option for him to get out, get on the move, and make something happen. So we're going to go Richardson and hate it. Absolutely hate it. We're going Bo Nix over Mahomes, but just because Nix is more mobile, and I like this matchup for Nix. This is a good situation for Nix at home against the Colts. It's the opposite of Anthony Richardson. It's a nice, friendly situation. Not a lot can go wrong, right? You have the mobility if you need it, but you don't even need the mobility against the Colts. Sit one, Jacoby Myers, DJ Moore, McConkey, or Neighbors. McConkey is expected to play, but he's far from 100%. So just on that alone, I think you're going to lean sitting McConkey, though the matchup for McConkey is incredible. So I think we got to start McConkey. Normally if it was anything close, I would say bench McConkey, but just because the receivers, when they are game time decision-ish, they typically do not perform like a running back would. Running backs, if they play, they play. Receivers, if they play with a Q tag, you have to throttle their projection slightly at least. DJ Moore is a top 24 option this week. You're playing DJ Moore. Malik Neighbors is right there with him. Oh, this is so tough. This is so tough. But then you definitely want to start Jacoby Myers, right? Oh, brutal. I like DJ Moore because Minnesota's secondary is super friendly for receivers, but so is Baltimore's. This is a tough one, man. I think so is Atlanta's. Wow, you got all these great matchups, and then you got McConkey. He's got a great matchup too. Wow, you got 4 top 8 matchups. McConkey clearly has the projection advantage. He's projected for a full point more than the others. I think we're sitting neighbors. I know we in this house believe, but I don't think it's close enough. I think we're going to go ahead and sit neighbors. Ugh, and I hate it too. Oh, I hate sitting neighbors against Baltimore. Hate it. But this offense is really crumbling around him, so I understand why. Ugh, hate to say it though. Jameis, Bryce, or Drake. So it's really, you're not starting Bryce Young, okay? But Jameis is interesting. Drake May is interesting. We are going to go, I'm thinking Drake May. I'm trying to think of a reason not to go Drake May. And there's no reason not to go Drake May. You're doing Drake May. Drake May against Arizona, it's not, they're pretty stout against quarterbacks. But again, the reason you're starting Nix, the reason you're starting Drake May, the mobility at quarterback, you want that. Hunter Henry or Andrews, can we start Juwan Johnson instead? Jamie Parag, can you start Juwan Johnson instead? Do you have to start one of these guys? I'm going to go Andrews and hate it. Oh, God. No. Fuck it. Go Hunter Henry. I can't do it. I know, like, probably Andrews is like, if you go to, like, Fantasy Pros, they're probably going to have Andrews. That feels like a chalker move, but I'm not doing it. I'm going Hunter Henry. Darnold or Winston? I lean Winston most weeks, but we're gonna see. I mean, I know Darnold had the big week. It is Chicago. Our projections say Darnold, and I hate that so much. But also, Kansas City's no, party in the Louvre, right? You see, can we take a moment for a second? I could have said walk in the park. I could have. That would have been the cliche. That's just what people say. Or you could think of something even better than that. What's better than a walk in the park? How about like a party at the Louvre? How about like a private party with champagne in the Louvre? That's a real good time. That's way, way better than a walk in the park. So you could say the cliche when you're talking, or you can say something else. You always have the choice of not using the cliche. We in this house believe. Oh, God, I hate this question. This is a tough one. You know what I'm going to do? You all know that I'm a Sam Darnold skeptic. Even when he goes for 5 touchdowns, he is Kirk Cousins. And this is not a good matchup for Chicago's terrible. A terrible matchup. The Browns are at home. They're going to be down. They're only 4-point dogs. It's kind of crazy. Oh, man. I know why we have it this way. I wish we could have Evan on the show. I wish we could patch in Evan. I know the reasoning. It's home for the Vikings. The implied points are just much higher for the Vikings. What's the weather? Is there any weather in Cleveland? Let's look, see if there's, I gotta get something. I can't. I want to go down in history as the person that was super bullish on Jameis Winston. And that means if you're super bullish on Jameis Winston, you're starting him today. It's 38 degrees with rain and snow. Chance of precipitation, 100%. Weather advisory. Okay, well, this changes some things, okay? So right now we have rain, and the wind is 19 miles per hour. Okay, well, that's the answer. We're going Darnold. Jesus Christ, that was close. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! We love Winston. No fucking way. No fucking way with those conditions. No, we're going Darnold. Wow. Dennis, you're welcome. You know what? The thing is, I never know where we're at with these. We often get to these questions many minutes after they get posted. And my hope is when we actually come up with a really good answer that Dennis is still tuned in. I hope he is. Josh Downs, Roma Dunze, or Johnson. I think Jawan Johnson. Is that the right thing to do? I'm going to go Roma Dunze this week. This feels like a Roma Dunze week. Roma Dunze is a phenomenal talent. It is a friendly matchup. So we're going Roma Dunze. If you need points this week, if you're in a tough spot this week, you're starting Roma Dunze. That's what you're doing. Neighbors or Pollard. Pollard is questionable, but I think he's going to play. And I think if Pollard plays, he plays. There's really not a lot to say with running backs. If they play, they are not typically limited. If a running back is limited, by the way, this whole Roschon Johnson thing is super sad and hilarious at the same time. He had the exact same opportunity last year to step up and be the bell cow back, and he had a multi-week concussion. Same thing's going on this week where it looks like DeAndre Swift's not going to play, and they're going to have some combination of Royce Freeman and Travis Homer. I haven't seen that they've elevated Royce Freeman yet. Maybe it's since I've been live they've elevated him. I'm expecting them to elevate Royce Freeman. I'm expecting it to be this Freeman-Homer share fest. It just shit, right? So that's what I'm expecting. And yeah, we're starting Tony Pollard this week against Cincinnati. You don't have Tony Pollard to bench him against Cincinnati. Get out of here. You're playing him. Hopkins also has the weather. That's another reason why. Hopkins, Xavier Worthy. Did you guys remember what happened to us with Deebo Samuel and Cooper Kupp? Remember? I've seen Deebo do some incredible things on the football field. Super courageous. Breaking tackles and just owning NFL football players. So he's allowed to just not concentrate and he's looking at the end zone instead of guiding that ball into his stomach. But man, come on. Okay, so this is how you know you're way behind when people are still guessing the Jimmy Stewart thing. Sean Connery. Here's the thing. Now, I will say, I can also do a Sean Connery. So you guys might be thinking, well, geez, I do recommend starting Roma Dunze this week. Right? Little Timmy just wants something on Christmas morning. So yes, we could do Jimmy Stewart, right? I get it. But it's not that far away. See, the interesting thing is, and again, when was this comment from? This was many minutes ago. I thought I was going at a good pace, knocking these questions out. Apparently not. But I can also do a Sean Connery. Again, it has that same, it's a lispy thing that you do. It's like a very deep lispy affect with your voice. Ryan, some things in this boat don't react too well to bullets. Right? So, both. We get them both in the arsenal. But that was more, see, that's another great point. Thank you. Oh my God, thank you. All 22FF, thank you for saying this. By the way, I love all these Wake and Take logos that you guys have. You guys are Wake and Take loyalists. Jason really appreciates this. Jason is a complete workhorse. He is our workhorse here at Player Profiler, Jason and Theo. They really appreciate this. I'm not really doing Sean Connery. I am doing more Will Ferrell doing Sean Connery. That is what I'm doing. I'm also doing, with Jimmy Stewart, I'm really doing other actors doing Jimmy Stewart. Now, again, now that all the yard signs have been taken down, we can say things like, one of the great actors of our time is Kevin Spacey. And one of the things you may not know about Kevin Spacey is incredible at doing impressions of other actors. So if you've ever seen this, if you could Google Kevin Spacey and James Lipton impressions, I would do this. This will make your day. Again, doesn't matter anymore. We can watch videos of Kevin Spacey again because it's brilliant. It's one of the more brilliant 10 minutes you'll ever spend on your phone ever. So, Kevin Spacey, I mean, oh yeah, right. I mean, we know about the best impressionists out there. Kevin Spacey doesn't get mentioned as much. He should. Super chat from Lincoln. Again, the Caleb Williams or A-Rich. I think I fully answered that. I think, by the way, thank you for trying again and then super chatting it. They're terrible situations. They're terrible players at this point. They're players that you hate starting. But Anthony Richardson does have the capability to get there in lots of different ways. Not just in the box score, but on any given play, in any given down and distance, where Caleb Williams still is a little bit more of a traditional, what the numbers are telling you in terms of the matchup is what you're looking at with Caleb Williams. Josh Downs, Khalil Shakir, or Elijah Moore. Okay, so what? Are you serious? You guys know Khalil Shakir is awesome, right? Khalil Shakir, I mean, that's what we should have said. You know what? That's really the answer, isn't it? In this house, we believe in Khalil Shakir. In this house, yes, Terry McLaurin for sure, but Khalil Shakir was the cutoff. He was the cutoff receiver where in seasonal managed leagues, that is the last receiver you are drafting, period. What about Jameson Williams? What about Darnell Mooney? No. McConkey and then Shakir, and you're done. That's it. All running backs after that. Now, granted, process-wise, it was great. Results-wise, a lot of those running backs, you know what? Who hit in that group? Chase Brown? Not a lot. Right? So, From Robert Holloway, Stone Smart or Brenton Strange? We're going Stone Smart. We're going Stone Smart. Think about what we have here in terms of the competition for targets, right? It's not. What are we talking about? Stone Smart looks athletic. He looks like a wide receiver. Isn't he number 84? Like, it's hard to believe this guy's a tight end. Okay? So, I kind of like Stone Smart. Who do you think is a better football player? Put this in the chat, everybody. Put this in the chat. And, oh, shit. We're at the 10:50. We're now into overtime. So now I should do this. I should do this from now on. In order for overtime to continue, you have to like the show or subscribe, whatever. I don't like the show or put a comment in to say, I want the show to continue. That's what I should do that because I need to get more better at requesting and soliciting engagement. Stone Smart's only 225. He's barely a tight end. He has like a 98th percentile burst score. This is a good matchup You're going stone smart here. The only reason I would go Juwan Johnson is Juwan Johnson was a wide receiver in college. These are receivers. And Juwan Johnson has no target competition left. They're all injured. By the way, I want to make sure I remind everybody, stash Chris Olave in Dynasty. Trade for Chris Olave in Dynasty. Find a way to get him. If you still have trades open, get Chris Olave in Dynasty. This narrative that player X is doomed with a concussion. I mean, that might be Roschon Johnson might be the one that's doomed with a concussion at this point. He's the one that's actually in a serious sort of concussion pattern. Even more concerning than what's happening with Chris Olave. Chris Olave had multiple concussions in his career. I know that. But in particular had this one event that was just so shocking and appalling and concerning. And it was just a tragic incident. The one tragic incident. Tua's out here playing. Tua was concussed this year and is back playing. So, I mean, this idea that Chris Olave's done is ridiculous. And he didn't do anything this year, and now he's going to be viewed as a bust in Dynasty. Get Chris Olave, okay? We're not doctors, so get Chris Olave. That's on the premise that you're not doctors. Get Chris Olave in Dynasty. But yeah, love Stone Smart. Fuck yeah, hell yeah. I'll tell you where we have Stone Smart projected. We don't have him projected as high as I think we probably could. We have Stone Smart, in the top 20, but not necessarily as high. Like, I would play him over Grant Calcaterra. I would play him over Noah Gray. But I still prefer Juwan Johnson. But yeah, I mean, you're definitely playing him over Brenton Strange. Now, I understand Brenton Strange is in there because Evan Ingram's out. So it's a law of the conservation of targets, but Jets are not the situation you want. Now, Mac Jones did have a way of finding Hunter Henry in New England. So if you want to say Brenton Strange over Fant, over Hooper, over Calcaterra, over Kmet, over Gray, I'm cool with that. But not over Stone Smart. Stone Smart's a receiver. He's a better football player than Quentin Johnston. So that's what I want you to put in the chat. Is Stone Smart a better football player than Quentin Johnston? Spoiler alert, yes, he is. Jonathan Taylor or Tyrone Tracy? It's Jonathan Taylor. I said this week, if you're drawing up a game plan, if you're the Colts, you're going to try to see what... It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart. It wasn't Miracle on 69th Street. I'm not a boomer. Okay? My daughter keeps reminding me of this because I'm always like a boomer, even though we were doing it. We were at the golf lounge last night. You guys have done this golf lounge. By the way, I was just dialed in with my mid to low irons. Oh my God, was I dialed in? Oh, I was feeling so good at the golf lounge. Just barely scraping the carpet, because sometimes it gets chunky. You get chunky with the carpet at these golf lounges, but just barely, just the slightest like grazing of the carpet with your irons at the golf lounge. Ooh, felt so good. I was dialed in. Felt great. And I think we I was like, we were something boomers was my group. And my daughter was like, "You're not a boomer. You're Gen X." And I'm like, "Listen, lady, I'm just embracing it. It's a personality. It's a way of being. Boomerism. There's no Gen X. I'm a Gen X. No one says Gen X anymore. You're either a boomer or you're a millennial. Right? That's it. You're Gen Z. No one says you're a Zer. You're just a millennial. Whatever. You're one of these people on your phone all the time. I'm not. Period. That's it. That's what it's about. That's the shorthand. You're not a millennial. You're not a boomer. You're a Gen Xer. I'm essentially a boomer, but because I'm not a real boomer, I don't know these movies that well. Like I said, Gone with the Wind and Spartacus and Miracle on 69th Street and It's a Wonderful Life. Like, I know of these movies. I've seen them before. But I saw them when I was a kid, and it was like I saw a part of the movie on TV between commercials on TBS or whatever, and I never really processed what the hell I was watching. So I don't know, exactly who James Cagney is versus Humphrey Bogart. Like, I'm not going to be able to get that every time. I'm going to be wrong about a lot of those things. Thankfully, that's not what this show is. This show, I'm dead on. Fuck Dalton Kincaid this week. Start Stone Smart over Dalton Kincaid. You know what? Start Brenton Strange over Dalton Kincaid. That's what we're going to be doing this week. That's what we're doing. Christian Watson or Worthy. We're going Watson because of this weather. We don't trust the weather at all. We're going McConkey over Waddle, even though the injury. I know we're throttling McConkey, but McConkey's starting at such a high place. Such a place we want to start McConkey, want to get him in there. So, I mean, he's a top 10 option this week. So when you throttle him, he becomes a top 20 option. That's still better than Waddle, who's a top 25 option. Now I know it could go either way, but I don't know. McConkey seems like a warrior to me. I'm going to go with McConkey. I don't know why. He's just been playing hurt all year. So that's why, actually. JSN or BTJ. So we need to have a talk about this, I think, about Brian Thomas. So in this house, we believe in Brian Thomas, but we're not idiots, okay? We're not heroes. Brian Thomas against the Jets is a terrible, terrible situation. He is a guy outside the top 30. I would play Jameson Williams over Brian Thomas. I would play Garrett Wilson, Jordan Addison. I would play all these guys, Jalen Waddle. I'd play them all over Brian Thomas, even though we in this house believe in Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas is exactly that type of receiver that we want. Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, Terry McLaurin, on down the list. That's the archetype we love, we gravitate to. But not at the expense of losing a playoff matchup. You want to win, so you're playing Khalil Shakir. You want to win, so you're playing Adam Thielen. I didn't like recommending as my top waiver receiver to pick up in like week 10 Adam Thielen. I didn't like it, but I sure as hell wasn't going to be rolling with Leggett and Coker every week. So what do you think you're going to do? Who do you think is going to be the target leader in the second half? Of course it's going to be Thielen. I argued with people on the Mighty Mansion show about this. But we have Njigba on another level. Jackson Smith and Njigba is in the Cooper Kupp, CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, Ladd McConkey tier. For now, that's where he is. He's that good. So that's not even a question. You're going... Wait, do you know how high JSN could rise in Dynasty? It's exciting. We've been having this conversation internally about JSN, that he's just the real deal. We did the bold predictions video again, and I'm like, I got to do JSN. I did Charbonnet, but I got to do JSN as well. No one's asking whether you should play Charbonnet this week. Yeah, you're playing Charbonnet, of course. Metcalf or Waddle, see, now that's much more interesting because I don't like DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf, not my archetype, right? Not my archetype. He's too much of a fake alpha European sports car ex-receiver. I hate those. That's not my guy. If I'm going to have a European sports car, I'd much rather have a stretch Z receiver. Give me a Calvin Austin. That's the archetype where it's not expensive, right? This is I can buy it from a junkyard, and I can maybe find a guy that knows European cars, and we can collaborate, and for cheap, we can get this thing back up and running. That's Calvin Austin. That's how I want to do it. I'm not going to invest big money in a European sports car. That's stupid. That's bad, even though Sean Connery would. I'm sure Sean Connery already has. Sean Connery's like, yes, I've spent all of my 007 cash on European sports cars. We're not doing it, okay? DK Metcalf. You know what? Fuck DK Metcalf. I just said it. I said it. We in this house, we believe in Jackson Smith-Njigba. We in this house, we believe that Jackson Smith-Njigba is the alpha in Seattle. This was like a bold prediction weeks and weeks ago. It was known as bold. And I think in the offseason, also viewed as bold, that I said that DK Metcalf peaked in 2020. He had 17 fantasy points a game. He hasn't crested 14.5 fantasy points a game since. He hasn't crested 1,700 air yards since. He hasn't crested anything since. He's, hasn't been good since. Even in a year we had 140 targets in 2022, 13.2 fantasy points per game. Actually, we have a sound effect for that, don't we? I think we do. Or this one. DK Metcalf is good Devontae Parker. That's what he is. I don't like those guys. I used to. I'm off it. I was off it many years ago. Now, I want the Jamar Chase archetype. I want 6 foot, runs a 4.4, prolific in college, dog, loves the game. You put those things together for me. You know that's Terry McLaurin, right? You know, like Terry McLaurin and Jamar Chase are really close. So, you know what? We're going Waddle. We're going Waddle there. How can DK Metcalf even survive with Jackson Smith-Njigba commanding all these targets? We're well into overtime here. Thielen or Shakir, that's an interesting one. Potentially 2 top 10 receivers this week, which you never would have guessed, right? Seem like possession guys, but going Shakir. We in this house, we believe in Shakir. Okay, thank you. So Jack, Jack, all uppercase. Let's check in on Fast Draft real quick before we get to that. Fast Draft. Ooh, the draft ripped off. Jeff is rad is back. 3 drafts to go. We got 3 drafts in the next 2.5 hours to fill the Flex 6 Frenzy. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Listeners of this show. Okay. Listeners of this show. Oh, we got hold on, I got to give we got a little bit of we got some new registrants here. Hold on, I got to put it we're still doing a lot of things manually. Like issuing promos and whatnot. So here's what we'll do. And we'll know because this is not a podcast. So this is only a live stream. Okay? So if you use promo code STREAM and help to fill these last 3 drafts, because there's a lot of turbo drafts. So what happens with Fast Draft is you could just submit your rankings and say, enter me in the next 5 drafts with these rankings, and then it just emails you your teams. So you get an email with 5 teams. It's like, here are your rosters. You just, congratulations, go win, right? You bump up Jackson Smith-Njigba. You bump up Terry McLaurin. You bump up Shakir. You bump up the guys that you've been bumping up this week. You bump up Charbonnet, right? And then you ship it. Say, give me 5 teams with these guys. You get different allocations of draft spots. You get different team structures because you're in the 103, and then you're in the 101, then you're in the 110, and then you're in the 108, whatever. So you end up getting these 5 teams based on those rankings. And so you don't have to spend any time drafting if you don't want. Or you could draft live. It's up to you. But so we've got people that are, getting in there. So here's what we're going to do. If you get in there now and you register now and you sign up and you use promo code STREAM, I'm going to double your deposit up to $25 as I always do. But I will also send you a Fast Draft t-shirt. So then you email me, podfather@rotounderworld.com. Email me your name and address and your shirt size. And I'm going to send you a Fast Draft shirt as well. Because I'm an obsessive guy. And I really want to fill these tournaments. I want to fill, we're 3 drafts away. And, it's so close to filling. And it's a fun thing to fill. And then what happens is when we fill a tournament, then it justifies us increasing the prize pool for the next time. So how it works is instead of just being crazy, like a crazy operator, I'm not a crazy operator. I'm pretty conservative. Once we fill a tournament at a certain level of prize pool, then I increase the prize pool the next time, and then the next time, and then the next time. So that's how we do it. If you are out here going ham without taking it that approach, you're going to find yourself underwater. So we don't do that. But I do like to send t-shirts. Now, Jack is saying face paint is next, and I agree with that. We're way on overtime, and I appreciate everybody for sticking around with me and listening to my nonsense and my impressions. And yes, we got the armbands, and then I have face paint. I have eye black. I have a lot of things. We have this hat. This is a fun hat, right? Billy and I have this hat. It's a fun hat, right? It's a good hat. And what's cool is I can see fine because I can see my computer here, and I can see everything. I can get a drink. But you don't see my eyes. Isn't that weird? So, anyway, just the way it works. Let's take one more question. I am officially tired. Is Stone Smart a trap? Well, here's how it works, okay? This is an interesting question. I don't really believe in traps at tight end because tight end is are you going to get a touchdown or not? Who knows? We know they're playing Tampa. We know it's a situation where there could be a shootout. So how is that a trap? Is it a trap when, game script can trap you? So you might say, Zay Flowers is a trap. They're just going to run the ball. Maybe. But and again, to be a 17-point favorite, you got to score a lot of points. There's a lot of points up for in a lot of equity there. So I kind of like it. Tony Pollard or James Cook? This is a good one. James Cook is leaking, isn't he? Isn't James Cook leaking a little bit in fantasy? I'm not seeing him projected in the top 10. He's projected behind Rico Dowdle. Of course, he's projected behind Charbonnet, projected behind Hubbard, Pollard. So James Cook's been leaking. And against Detroit, terrible situation. James Cook likes to dud out in these kinds of situations. Have you noticed that? James Cook, he's going to go 6 carries, 22 yards, 2 catches, 17 yards, 6.5 fantasy points, something like that. That's such a James Cook move. I would go Jonathan Taylor over James Cook this week. I would go Aaron Jones over James Cook this week. I actually hate James Cook this week. So you want to go Pollard over James Cook? I'm cool with that. Yeah, James Cook is a trap. That is a trap. You want a trap? You want a trap player? Okay? It's James Cook. Okay? James Cook in Dynasty in particular is the ultimate trap. I think we've said Pollard over Neighbors several times. And the problem with McConkey is that the start time is later. We have heard he is expected to play. It's tricky, man. The proletariat, Twitch, respect Twitch. I understand it's tricky, but he is expected to play. Let's look at this. Let's look at the late games here. So who is in the late games? The late games are Steelers, Eagles. Oh, okay. So here's the thing. At worst, you could go Calvin Austin. You can plug and play Calvin Austin if it's a late scratch for McConkey. Now it's not a hamstring, so I'm more confident in McConkey. You could go desperation Michael Wilson. You can go desperation. Buccaneers receiver. Trying to think. Would I rather have Michael Wilson? Michael Wilson's just not that good. I know that he's been super inefficient this year. And I was listening to the Sharp Football podcast. Rich Rebar did a good job just laying it out. Like, Jalen McMillan's not good. I get it. But he is a rookie. He has missed time. He is newly minted as a starter. So when a player is inefficient like Jalen McMillan, I'm less likely to just label him as bad. So Jalen McMillan is interesting. So there's a bunch of guys at 4 o'clock that if it doesn't work out with McConkey's in such a great spot this week. I don't want to bench him. You have plenty of options. You actually have plenty of options. And so you've got whoever the number 2 is in Las Vegas. Right? But it's possible. You got Ray McLeod. So you got Ray. You've got a lot of options, man. A lot. So I think that's the nice thing about McConkey is it's like, yes, if he is inactive, you don't get to start Neighbors, which is a bummer. But you could easily see Calvin Austin outscoring Neighbors this week. Why not? It's not. I don't think that's not the huge concern, right? And then look at this. Look at this question rate. Perfect timing, right? I like Austin this week and I like McMillan this week. But we're starting Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin has long touchdown potential. I've seen some red zone targets randomly, just on the red zone channel, them throwing to Calvin Austin. So they like Calvin Austin. I think that Pittsburgh really likes him. I think this is an opportunity for him to have a boom week, have something like 4 catches for 90 yards, maybe 2 touchdowns in his range of outcomes. So I think we're in this house. In this house, everybody, we believe. In this house, we believe in Calvin Austin III. Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.